Okay, we're going to do a couple of Pythagoras theorem problems. One, we're going to find the hypotenuse, and then the other one, we're going to find one of the legs when given the hypotenuse. All right, so in this situation, first thing you need to know is which one is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always opposite of the 90-degree angle, okay? So the hypotenuse is always the opposite. So there's C right there. That's the hypotenuse. The legs are always A and B. Legs are always connected to the 90-degree angle. If you see the 90-degree angle, these are the legs that's connected to. All right, so really this is a nice simple one. We just plug in our numbers and do the math. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my numbers. All right, A squared, and it doesn't matter which one's A or B, but I just wanted to label them A and B. We're going to say 3 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. Well, 3 squared is not 6. A lot of kids get those mixed up. It's 3 times 3, which is 9, and then 8 times 8 is 64. All right? Then 9 plus 64 is 73. All right, now if you notice, C squared equals 73. The way we find out the length of that side is we take the opposite of square, which is square root. So we're going to square root both sides. All right, and when we do this, we're going to get C equals, and then we're going to put the square root in our calculator. Which is 8.54. So the distance here is about 854. So if this was feet, it would be 8.54 feet. And if we talk about the longest side, if you notice on this, A and B are 3 and 8. And C is supposed to be longer. And if you look, it is longer than B. It's barely longer, but it is longer. And some of these, sometimes they're like that. You have to be very careful because sometimes your C is just barely long enough. All right, so you just need to know that C for sure is longer. A lot of kids think if you add 3 and 8, that'll give you the C, and it's not. It's the squared of those two added together, and then take the square root. All right, so let's do one where we have a C. Let's do one where we have a C. We don't have one of the legs. So I'm going to copy this real quick. Let me erase this. All right, so I'm going to copy. All right, so we're going to paste it here. All right, and I'm going to change a couple of things. I'm going to take we're going to take C. We're going to just change the numbers. All right, and I'm just going to make some numbers up. Let's say that we make C, we'll change this to 9, and we'll make one of the legs, we'll make it 5. All right, so now we got to find what A is. So how do we do this? All right, so remember it's A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We only do this with right triangles. So make sure you're always looking at the right triangle. All right, so A squared we don't know. B squared, we're going to say 5 squared. And C squared is going to be 9 squared. That's a 9. So A squared plus 25 equals 81. All right, I want to get the A squared by itself, so I'm going to do the opposite to both sides, which is subtract 25 to both sides. All right, when I do this, this becomes a 0 pair. All right, and then I'm going to bring down my A squared. Now this is a plus 81, that's a minus 25. If I was to subtract those, this would be 56, I do believe. Oops. Alright, just like before, how do I get rid of the square? So I'm going to do the square root to both sides because it's the opposite of square. And so when I do this, I get A equals the square root of 56. Well, I know it's between 7 and 8, okay, because 7 times 7 is 49 and 8 times 8 is 64. So the second square root of 56 is 7.48. And so this answer here would go here. It'd be 7.48. And we want to check our answer. Is this smaller than our C? And it is. So we're okay. And that's how we find when we have the hypotenuse, the C, and we're looking for one of the legs. And it could work with either one. I want to do one more thing. And so I'm going to make something up off the top of my head. Let's say that I take some numbers here. 5, 7, and 12. All right, let's say these are lengths of the side, and they want to know if this is a if this is a right triangle. All right, so we have to figure out which one's which. Now we know the biggest number should be the C. The other two, it really doesn't matter because they're lengths. We're trying to find out if this is a perfect square. I'm sorry, right triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 5 squared plus 7 squared plus 12 squared. So we know this is 25 plus 49, and that's 144. So these two have to equal 144 to be a perfect, for this to be a right triangle. And that's 14, looks like it's 94. 94 most definitely is not 144. So they don't equal, so this is not a right triangle. If these two did equal, it would. Now there are certain triangles that they call triples. Alright, and I want to kind of give you what a triple is. A triple, for example, some of these can come out like a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So like some of the popular ones are a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Alright, so you would have 3, 4, and 5. Or you could have multiples of those. Think about it. If I multiplied all these by 2, I'd get 6, 8, and 10. So this could be 6, this could be 8, and this could be 10. I could multiply it, make this 9, 12, and 15. And again, this could be 9, 12, and 15. All these, if I reduced them, would still be perfect. I mean, this could go on forever when you have multiples of 3, 4, and 5. Now, how can you tell if when you're doing this, if you have a 3, 4, 5 triangle, and how would you solve it quicker? So I'm just going to put something up here, and I don't want to take too much more time, but I want to kind of put something up here. Let's say that I put, let me put them here, 40. Let's see, 20. Oh gosh. Let's see, 40, 32, and then the other one would be 24. Okay, so let's look at this. What we want to do is remember we're looking to see if it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So I'm going to try to divide 3 out of one of them, 4 out of another, and 5 out of another. This one has to be 5, so this would be 8 times 5. Has to be, because that's the longest side. This one is either going to be a 3 or 4. And so I'm pretty knowledgeable. I know it's a 4 because I know 8 times 4 is 32. This one is 3 times 8, so there's your 3. So 3, 4, 5. So you can see that this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle, and this would work. They're all multiplied by 8.